Hello, my friends. We are on time today. Hallelujah. It's the second time we've been on time, and I love it. From now on, I'm going to strive to make sure we're on time every time, okay? Do we need to turn on Instagram over here? All right, there. So here's what I have planned for you. We're still waiting on Henry, my man Henry. You know what? I love Henry. He is always on time. I got to learn some things from you because sometimes I'm late. But being on time is a wonderful thing, and I appreciate your being on time all the time, Henry. Celia, Tina, my people. I just love how the regular people just kind of, my friends just join, whenever the show is on. So here is what I will be starting. There you go. We have a great show today, all right? But I'm going to wait for a few more people to come on. Sometimes, we take our time, but, it's been a very interesting week, and I sort of want to talk about two things that happened, actually three things that happened this week. The first was Mr. Elon Musk, who basically said, after endorsing cryptocurrency by buying $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin, basically, and powerfully recommending this Dogecoin, this thing that was made out of a joke, he basically said over the week that he's not accepting Bitcoins for the purchase of Teslas anymore, primarily because during the process of mining, they used things like, fossil fuel, like coal, and that the energy that was used was basically not great. And so he didn't support, the destruction of the environment. And so he decided, and guess what? Many of you who bought cryptocurrency a week ago at like 56,000 or 55,000, now it's 46,000. You've lost 18-20%. You're wondering what's going on. So a lot of people have been asking me about Bitcoin. Let me tell you something. I'm gonna post something about Bitcoin that I talked about a couple of weeks ago about how you have to be very, very careful. Somebody asked me a very good question some time ago. They said, "Is Bitcoin safe and should I buy it?" And the absolute answer is hell no. Bitcoin is the least safe thing you can ever find out there. Why? Primarily because it's not Bitcoin's value, unlike a stock, which, look, I can tell the price of a stock based upon the profits I expect the stock to yield, right? Or based upon the dividend it pays me. Or a bond, I can judge it based upon the interest it pays me and the strength of the credit quality of the issuer. With Bitcoin, how do I tell what the value is? Is it 2,000? Is it 5,000? Is it 25,000? Is it 125,000? Is it 500,000? Like I've heard some people saying it's going to go to. I don't know. The only time I know Bitcoin will go up is if somebody else will pay more for it. And the time I know it goes down is if somebody pays less for it. As a result, Bitcoin is not safe at all. It is very, very volatile. Now, it has some uses, right? It's very, very volatile. Let me explain what Bitcoin is. It's basically a way to pay for things. It's a currency. It's a type of currency that avoids national regulation and national borders. And basically, you have this computer code, right? It's a piece of code, a computer file that's inside of something called the digital wallet. And this digital wallet, every time you buy something using Bitcoin, you send out some of your currency through the digital wallet. Every time you acquire, somebody pays you Bitcoin, it goes into your digital wallet. Every time there's a transaction, it's on this, it's on this ledger system called a blockchain. So there's millions of computers that are validating each transaction to make sure it's safe. Now, blockchain itself is it's an amazing technology that could revolutionize our world. But Bitcoin itself, for a lot of different reasons, one, kind of like gold, you can't eat Bitcoin. As a matter of fact, unlike gold, I can't wear Bitcoin. So while in some cases, Bitcoin is a good thing to buy because it could act as a diversified tool to diversify your investments. And in certain cases, if you want to transact business, it's a little bit easier. If you want to buy something overseas, and so on and so forth, it's a little bit easier. There's some benefits to it, but it's not something you want to put all your money into. Only for very sophisticated investors. I'm going to talk a little bit about it, not today. That's not why we're here. I just want to chat about that a little bit. So be very, very careful about how you buy Bitcoin and make sure you know what you're doing, and make sure a better way to go about it is buying either make it a small part of your portfolio, less than maybe 2 or 3%, or make sure that you're buying blockchain companies that use blockchain technology, because those are the ones who over a period of time, you can gauge their performance based on income, expenses, and so on and so forth. The second thing I want to talk about this week that happened. Hi, guys. I see my Instagram friends are already there. Thank you very much for joining. It's a pleasure to see you. We're going to talk about some interesting things today, some great things. I'm just kind of summarizing the whole week. So welcome. The stock market is volatile. It's been up and down and up and down. I hear a lot of people call me. They're like, what's going on? Why is the market so volatile? It's going up and it's going down. And, Friday, it was up 1.5%. But for the week, it was down 1%. What's going on? Well, we're going to talk about it. Not next week, because we got to finish up this round of business, opening up a business. We're going to talk about stock market volatility. But be very careful about, buying into hot things. Many people want to buy the hot thing. They want to buy GameStop. They want to buy cryptocurrency. They want to buy, Uber when it goes public. If you're a sophisticated investor, you know what you're doing. You do your research. You don't have to have a financial advisor degree to be a sophisticated investor. It just means you do your research. If you do your research, you understand what you're buying, great. You can buy these esoteric things or the technology stocks that, expect to double in 6 months. But for most of the people, you want to make sure you have a very diversified portfolio, right? The S&P 500 is one of the best things you can have. Why? It's a bet on the largest companies in America. So if you buy the S&P 500 and you buy a small bond portfolio and just leave it there, you'd be up like 9% this year. You wouldn't be worried about all this volatility. So I'll be talking more about diversification, but the stock market volatility, if you're a long-term investor, should not scare you. Now, here's one more thing that happened this week, and I'm so excited. For you guys who follow me on social media, remember, I have a goal. At Suchi, we have a goal to sign 3 million children up in the next 10 years. 3 million kids from underserved communities, poor kids who don't have any money. Many of these kids are on free or reduced lunch. Their parents make an average of $26,000. Many of these kids are food insecure, which means they don't know where the next meal or two is coming from. They're hungry. And so, and there's 3 million of them, our people. And so our thinking is, and we're pretty convinced that the way to lift up, not just help feed our people, but the way to lift up our people and heal this massive racial disparity of wealth in America, and to bring up, a whole cater of a whole community, a whole generation of children and adults that have been left behind, is to educate them. Let me tell you some statistics that we go by, right? Kids with a college degree or equivalent make $1 million more than those who don't have a college degree. And Black Americans, African Americans, have 8 times less wealth than whites. In addition, we make over 40% less than whites. So we have less education, and only 15% of African Americans have a college degree, which is less than half of whites. There's a strong correlation there. So we're uneducated relative to whites. Therefore, we make less money. Therefore, we have less wealth. So our goal, but one more study has shown that a kid with a college plan, a college fund, is 7 times more likely to go to college. So if college makes you smarter and richer, and there was a survey that I read, Huffington Post, which said it also makes you happier and more satisfied with your job. Why aren't more of our kids going to college? Because of a college fund, which makes it 7 times more likely? Okay. So we're setting up these college funds because these college funds will make our kids more likely to go to school. So we were in Arkansas, back in Arkansas. I couldn't do it. I did a FaceTime in, or I was on a live with my team that was down there. We signed up another 100 kids. We're going to 3 million. We have over 1,600 kids we've already signed up. And we're not going to stop. We're going to keep doing this every week and every month and every day that we can. So if you're a potential school or a partner that wants to team up with us, we have some of the biggest foundations. We have a lot of, great people, who've signed up or who are in the process of signing up, some amazing corporations, a lot of celebrities, basketball players. We have a lot of people who have decided they want to sign up with us. And we're going to roll these things out over a long period of time. So we're grateful to God that our mission is picking up steam. Our mission, again, is to educate 3 million of the underserved young Black and Hispanic and Native American kids over the next 10 years. We want to make sure 3 million of them get an education, get the chance to go to college with no student loans. So we're done with the news of the week. Let's talk about what we're here to talk about today. But many people ask me, from time to time, I get stopped on the street, or I get, phone calls, or they ask, Dave, why, it's a pretty cool show, but why are you doing the YouTube show? It's not for money, right? You're not doing it to me. I say, no, it's not for money. I'm doing it because I'd like to democratize wealth. What that means in my book, Democratizing Wealth, is there is no reason why you watching this show are not wealthy. You're not less smart. You're not less tall or short. You're not less good looking. You have 2 arms and 2 legs and a nose like everybody else who's rich. So why aren't you rich? Why aren't you wealthy? Why aren't you happier? My goal is to democratize wealth. And those people who don't necessarily have enough, or those ones who want to make more, I want to show them how to do it. What I've done is I've taught you the very basics, right? Because you need to have a foundation first. Here's what the foundation is. The foundation is we're on season 2. We're on episode 11. We've gone through 10 episodes. I will strongly recommend you go back and look at those 10 episodes. And the reason why is because we've built the foundation. I've showed you how to build the foundation. Today, we're going to talk about the ABCs of starting a business, how to create wealth through starting your own business. Now, but before you get to this point, how do you start a business when you don't have good credit? You might need a loan. I taught you how to build good credit in the past show. How do you start a business when you don't have a good bank, or you're paying tons, $3,000 a year in fees to payday lenders and to check cashers and to pawn stores? How do you start a business when you're still stuck with giving money to people who shouldn't have your money, when you don't have a great bank? How do you start a business when you don't even have an emergency fund? So I taught you the very basics. I also taught you how to get out of debt, especially the debt that I hate most, which is student debt. The only debt I hate more than credit card is number 1. Student debt is number 2. So I've taught you the very basics. Now I'm stepping it up a little bit and teaching you how to create wealth through starting your own business. So last week, I told you about a dozen and a half, maybe 2 dozen different types of businesses you could start. There were online businesses, there were social media, all of those businesses you could do in your boxer shorts at home. Yes, you could, without leaving your home. So in case your child hasn't started school yet because of the pandemic, and you have to stay at home with your child and you can't go to work, I gave you a list of businesses you could start. Today, what I'm going to be talking to you about is I'm going to talk to you about the ABCs of starting a business. So hopefully when you saw the show last week, you picked the business you liked, right? Whether it was a tax preparer through H&R Block, or social media or marketing, social media marketing, or it was transporting medical equipment, lab equipment and things like that. You have hopefully picked the business that you're better at than anybody else that you know. And so today, I'm going to give you the A, ABCs of starting a business. A business is the easiest way to create wealth for yourself, a long-term wealth for yourself, right? I know sometimes, people, not everyone is built to create a business. Not everyone has the stomach for risk. People like security and safety. And some people like to go home at 5 o'clock and spend time with the family and raise the kids. And so the kids can be helped. That's great. And that's good. Not everybody can start a business. This is not for those people who are comfortable, where they are. This is for people who want more. You want to be your own boss. You want to make more money. You want to be happier, knowing full well you can buy whatever you want. You don't necessarily have to buy everything you want. Sometimes, you could use a lot of those things for charity to give people who don't have, but you at least have the ability to make more money, hire more people, create more wealth, and do great things for yourself. This then is the show for you. So today, I'm going to tell you about the ABCs of starting a business. Let me tell you about a list of what we're going to go over today. And I'm going to try to be quick because sometimes, I give you so much information and you can always go to come back to YouTube and see it. This is on Facebook and this is on YouTube, okay? So we're going to talk today about what are the steps, the specific steps you want to take before starting a business, your business. And it doesn't matter how small or how large, it's the same thing. Where do you hire people, the right people? Starting a business sometimes is the biggest investment decision, maybe apart from buying your home, sometimes maybe even bigger than buying your home that most people will make. And you need people, unless you're the only person who's going to, if you're doing hair or if you're a fashion designer or something like, maybe it's just you, but you still need people, sometimes to help you with, with payroll, people to answer the phones, people that do things for you. How do you hire the right people? I'll teach you about the common mistakes, the most common mistakes small businesses make. And I can teach you how to avoid those mistakes. I'll also teach you how not to run out of cash. That's the most important thing you want to be concerned about. 70% of small businesses fail over the first 2 to 3 years. Why? I'll teach you how to avoid those things that make most businesses fail. I will also show you how to incorporate, where to incorporate, how to think through incorporating. Should you incorporate or not? Should you set up a corporation or not? There's a lot of good things we're going to be talking about today. So let's start. First, I want to give some props to my friends over at businessnewsdaily.com. They are amazing. A lot of my information comes from them. businessnewsdaily.com. So if you want to check out any of the things I'm talking about, go to businessnewsdaily.com. Those guys are really good. Anyway, let me stop for a second. Hi, Melva. I see Melva over there. Alicia. All right. Tina is hanging out. Hey, Tina. Oh, Tina, I didn't know you're from Arkansas. I was in Arkansas. Well, I wasn't here last, we were in Pine Bluff. We had 100 kids that we had to educate. We had to get them college funds. But I was there 2 weeks ago. I was in Jacksonville, Arkansas. And I was in Little Rock, and we reached 1,200 kids. It was it was like a party. It's amazing how much fun we had. So I didn't know. So Arkansas is a great state. I love it very much. And I've been all over. I've been to Bentonville. I've been to Rogers. I've been to Little Rock. I've been to the Central. I've been to what's it called? The Delta region. I've been all over Central Arkansas. I really like Arkansas. Hi, yeah, you're from Jacksonville. I was in Jacksonville. Yeah, Jacksonville. I was in the Lighthouse Academy in Jacksonville. That's where we were. So it's, hey Donna, it's good to see you. By the way, my friends on Instagram, I can't see you. So if you go to YouTube, I can see you. I can read your comments. Just go to Wealth Demystified or go to David Adefeso. You know how to spell my last name. So it's good to see you guys. Hey Tina, yeah, I'm sorry I missed you too. Maybe next time. Arkansas is a state. I have a passion for Arkansas because there's a big need over there. It's a very, very big need for people like me to come in there and help our people, and that's what I'm doing. So let's jump in. What are the steps to starting a business? The first step, and probably the most important step to starting a business is your idea. You need to refine your idea, right? Everybody has an idea. Everybody has ideas all the time, but you need to be very specific. What exactly is the product you're selling? Are you selling shoes? To who Who are your competitors? You have to research your idea and you have to refine it. Are you going to be designing web pages for people? Are you going to be a hairstylist? Do you want to be a fashion designer? Do you want to be a tailor? What do you want to do, right? Make sure you refine your idea. Research the industry. Go out, read about it, talk to people who are in the business, visit them, have a, tete-a-tete, talk to them. Define your why. Why are you starting a business? Are you starting a business because, I don't know, I have some things that I want to do for myself, so I figure it's going to be a good business. And so your why is internal to you. Or are you starting a business because you recognize a need that's large and significant out there, a need that people have, right? What are you starting a business for? You need to make sure you understand that and you hash it out. And by the way, don't ever forget that don't discount franchising, because many people want to set up businesses. They want to explore the options of setting up a business, got to get the financing, develop the business model, get a location, all those things. That's things you have to do. But with a franchise, the concept has already been set, the brand has already been set, the business model is already in place. All you have to do is pick a location and you got to pay for it. So don't discount. There's many. Just Google franchising. There's gazillion. There's all the way from McDonald's to there's millions of different franchises out there. That you can subscribe to, and that way they've done a lot of the work for you. Picking a good business name. Brainstorm your business. Don't just pick a business name out of the hat. Your business name is the first contact the customer has with you, right? And so it has to be something that conveys the essence of the business. Brainstorm. I picked one of my businesses. I went to this technology, this website called Upwork, and I had people actually give me I paid them $100 $150 or something, and give me business names. I had hundreds of people coming up with, after I described the business, hundreds of people came up with different business names, and I was able to pick one, and then we paid the winner. So it's really great. Brainstorm your business name. It's very, very important. You have to know who your target customer is. It doesn't matter how great your idea is. If you can't sell the product, if you don't understand the exact demographic and the type of person are you selling it to somebody in LA, somebody in the suburbs? Are you selling it to black people, white people, everybody, old people, younger people? Where do they live? What do they eat? Where do they go? What do they do? Why is this a problem? You need to understand everything about your target. That's one of the most important things about the idea, right? Everybody has ideas. When you start to get specific, maybe a business isn't right for you. And maybe it is. I actually choose to think it is. Everyone can start a business, even if it's a small business out of your home and you want to make some extra money, you can do it. So the first thing is to refine your idea. The second thing, before you do anything else, you have to write a business plan. Now, here's the way I look at a business plan, right? I'm in LA. I live in LA. I live downtown LA. So let's say I was driving from LA to Orange County, which is a different county also in Southern California. It would probably take me about, 45 minutes. What if I didn't know where I was going? And I just got in my car and I started driving to Orange County. How long do you think it'll take me to get there? Do you think I'll actually get, because I'll probably be in San Francisco, or maybe in Texas before I get to Orange County. It's a good chance that you'll drive around in circles. What a business plan does is, it's almost like a GPS, right? When you get into your car, you put in the address of where you're going, and it takes you straight to Orange County, right? With minimal interruptions. That's what a business plan is. It's a guide. It defines the goalpost. Here's where you are. Here's where you want to go. And a business plan is what gets you there. So it's very, very important to create a business plan. Here's the components of a business plan. First of all, what's the purpose of your business? Why are you starting a business? Put it in your business plan. What's your vision? What's your mission? What are you selling? Are you selling goods? Are you selling services? Are you selling ideas? Do you want to be a tutor? You want to be a teacher, online teacher? What do you want to do? What are your end goals? Where do you want to go? Do you want to make a lot of money? Do you want to make a difference? You want 1 million people? You want 500,000 people? You want to make $1 million? You have to define those things ahead of time, over a period of time, in order for you to get there. Because if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. How would you finance your startup costs? You need to finance. You got to pay for this thing, right? You're going to have costs in the beginning. Sometimes you're going to have rent. You got a computer, you have software, you have to pay staff, you have to pay business licenses, you got to make the goods, so you have a lot of costs. How are you going to pay for that? That's in the business plan. You have to define it in the business plan. Who is going to buy your product or service? Again, this goes back to the customer. You need to make sure you understand the customer and put the demographic in your business plan. You got to do research, ladies and gentlemen. You really have to do research. It is very, very important to not just understand there's other people doing what you're doing, maybe in a different way. Maybe you want to do it better, but understand what it is they're doing wrong first. And there might be people who maybe doing it very, very well, but they're not big enough. You think you can scale the business. So understand why they're unable to scale. Do your research. Go talk to them. Go talk to your potential competitors. Do a market survey. Fill out the paperwork and just, tell them to fill out 5 different questions, that can help you understand the business and understand what is lacking before you take the time and the expense of starting your own business. Now, also understand the customer. Talk to your customer. Don't focus on what your customer wants when you ask them. Focus on what they need. What do these people need? What is lacking? Why would they buy your product? What is so special about you? What's your competitive advantage? Put that in your business plan. Why are you better than everybody else? Right? Do you have better education? Are you better skilled? Do you have more experience? Do you have better ideas? There has to be a reason why that customer will buy from you, not from the other guy. Do you deliver it faster? Do you deliver it cheaper? What is the reason? Consider an exit, my friends. Consider an exit. Even before you start the business, what's your exit strategy? Is it a sale? Is it IPO, initial public offering? Is it a merger? Is it just to run the business for cash and then sell it to somebody, before you retire? Is it to just, make money and then shut it down after you become rich? What is your exit strategy? It's very, very important. It's always very important for you to know. Think of when you get on an airplane, right? The first thing you do when you get on an airplane, the first thing the flight attendant does is tell you where the exits are, right? Why? Because if, God forbid, you ever need there's an emergency, you're not going to have the time to think about, oh, you know what? Let me go look for an exit. You're not going to have the time to find an exit. By the time you need to exit, you need to know what your exit strategy is. Otherwise, that's where crisis happens. So predefine your exit before starting the business. So the first thing, again, I'm going to recap is refining your idea. Make sure you have a great idea that you've already tested. Then you have to write your business plan. The third thing you need to do is assess your finances. Are you guys having fun over there? Louise. Hi, Luis. Luis is in Nigeria. Wow. What time is it over there? It's 10:30, right? 10:28. I appreciate you calling. From are you in Lagos? I appreciate it. I have people from Texas calling. I have people calling in. I have people from New York. I have people from Atlanta, people from LA, people from South Carolina, from Arkansas. I have people from Nigeria. I have people from the UK. It's really amazing how many people log on to these shows, and I appreciate it. I appreciate your being here, and so let's keep going. Assess your finances. This is one of the most important things you can do. How are you going to cover your costs? Setting up a business is not necessarily cheap. How are you going to cover your costs? From savings? Did you save the money? Are you going to borrow? You're going to get a part-time job? I know a good friend of mine who's designing some amazing technology, but he can't afford to leave his existing job. So he's going to work 9 to 5, and at night he's designing the product. So sometimes you have to keep your day job while you set up, the new job or the new business. But when it's taking off, it's taking off, then you can sort of stop or reduce the full-time job, and then the business becomes your real job. There's always an exercise that's very, very important to make sure you don't run out of cash. This thing called the break-even analysis, right? At about what needs to happen for you to start making money above and beyond your costs? And so it's important for you to figure out, look, I'm going to be spending this much money, and it's going to take me this much time to start making money, right? So this is my cost. This is the amount of time I have. You want to make sure, it's very, very important for you to make sure that you know how much it's going to take before you start making money. Otherwise, if it's longer, you could run out of money. You're gonna gotta monitor your expenses, my friends. This is all part of assessing your finances. You gotta monitor your expenses. Look, I've been a victim of this. Well, I've been a perpetrator, not a victim of it, right? In some of my businesses, I've made some very bad mistakes. I've overspent, I've overhired, I've spent money on rent, spent money hiring staff, a lot of money. In some of I had to learn the hard way that you want to keep things very lean, right? Because you don't know when you start, you don't know if people are going to like your product, if people are going to buy your product, you don't know. So you really need to make sure you keep expenses low. Don't overpay yourself. Don't underpay yourself either. Pay yourself something that could sustain you while not starving the business. Don't overpay people. Don't buy things that you shouldn't be buying. Keep your expenses variable, right? If you can get part-time employees, get part-time employees. Don't go commit to full-time employees. Letting go of a full-time employee is very, very hard, as opposed to a part-time contractor, right? Also, it reduces the amount of money you expend on benefits, if you hire part-time. And then you can lease equipment instead of actually buying equipment. Sometimes I know some businesses like dentist offices, they have very, very, very expensive equipment that's large. You can lease those things. I used to, when I worked, many of you know my background, I worked on Wall Street for many years. And I used to work with the investment banking group. And we used to buy companies. We used to raise, billions of dollars for companies. And did you know that a lot of airplanes are not owned by the airline? They lease those airplanes. So I did a deal, with a leasing company. I think it was a Swedish leasing company, but doing business in America. Now it got bought. Phenomenal company. It was actually the first transaction that I ever worked with Jamie Dimon. Jamie Dimon is the CEO of JP Morgan now. He used to be my president of Citigroup Capital Markets, which was then a division of Travelers. Travelers was the CEO of Travelers was Sandy Weil at that time. So Jamie Dimon was the president of my business, and this was the first deal I worked with him. It was a company. I won't tell you the name, but it was a company we took public, and Jamie was on the deal. I mean, he got us the deal. He was the big boss. We were the ones in the trenches doing the work. But so make sure that you don't, so they lease, so what this company did was they leased the equipment. They went out, raised a lot of money, leased the airplanes, and then they bought the airplanes and they leased it to the airlines. Alex, would you turn down the air conditioner a little bit? It's a little bit hot. Alex always trying to make me sweat over here, man. Yeah, it's a little bit hot. Thank you. Okay. So finally, in regards to assessing your finances, there's multiple ways. This is what we're going to be talking about next week, by the way. Next week, we're going to talk about the ways to fund your new business. What are the best ways? What are the easiest ways? What are the smartest ways? What are the ways to fund your new business? That's what we're going to be talking about next week. But in essence, there's multiple ways to fund your business. One of them is through your local bank. Go to your community bank. One of them is through SBA loans. Yes, there's lots and lots of loans that are guaranteed by the governments. There's also alternative ways to fund your loans. To fund instead of going to SBA or your bank, there's multiple ways to fund, like Cabbage. There's different alternative lenders. There's business grants. Did you realize there's free money for you? After what happened in Arkansas a few weeks ago, where we had a food truck and we saw a lot of children who were a little bit hungry. And when we were, signing them up for college funds, a lot of these kids were hungry. I decided through my own foundation, I'm going to set up food trucks. And I just realized that in California, in Los Angeles, it's actually possible to get grants to buy food trucks through a nonprofit. So that's actually one of the things I'm going to be doing. I'm going to have food trucks for homeless people, hopefully starting towards the end of the year. And hopefully I can expand it to feed. I don't like people hungry. There's too much food around there. So, but it's through a grant. I'll hopefully get a grant to buy at least the first few, and then the foundation takes up from there. Investors. This is usually common with very fast-growing companies like technology companies. You can actually get investors like venture capitalists to give you money. Then there's, of course, crowdfunding. You can actually do crowdfunding to raise money for your business. You can go online, and there's multiple places you can actually do crowdfunding. So after you've determined your business, the finances for your business, the next most important thing for you is to figure out your legal business structure. Should you incorporate or not? Hey, Sharon. What is the difference? Sharon is asking a question. She said, what's the difference between a big business or a little business? I'm not even sure if there's a quantitative definition. I know in our financial services industry, the money management business, we have large cap stocks, ones that are like 50 billion. We have mid cap stocks that are between 7 and 50, and then we have small cap stocks that are under a few billion. But I'm not sure that's what you're asking, right? You're asking more about what's a small and large business in the small business frame. And I think the way I think about small businesses is a business that's unscalable, right? If you can't scale that business, it's going to be a small business forever. And what do I mean by that? If you can't, I always tell you that the easiest way to create wealth is for you to hire people, pay them $1, and then be able to charge somebody else $2 for their services. The same thing works with goods. If you buy a good at $1, like a t-shirt at $10, and you can sell that t-shirt for $20 and make a profit, then that's a scalable business. An unscalable business is one where you have to be there to do the work yourself. For example, a sole doctor who decides, I'm going to do this myself. He only has 24 hours in a day, and some of those guys work really hard. So a solo doctor working by himself and seeing patients is unscalable, right? That's a small business. A larger business is when that doctor, like my brother-in-law did, that doctor hires another doctor, a nurse practitioner, a PA, that's a physician's assistant, and then he has them do the work. He charges $1 for their service, and he pays them 50 cents. And he can hire 10 more doctors, 20 more doctors, 50 more doctors. And as long as he has a good system and he has enough business for them, it's a business that's scalable. So my definition of a small business and a sizable business or a large business is one small business is one that's unscalable. It's bound to be small forever. And a growing large, substantial business is one that's scalable, where you can actually increase, without increasing your cost dramatically. So let's talk about legal structures. Hopefully that answered your question. You want to see Alex? Alex, where are we at though? Keep it cute. Sexy ladies need to see. You're talking about Alex. They're talking about you. Alex is fine. Alex, you want to show up over here? Come around. Come around. People want to see. You don't want to come around? You shy? Okay, Alex doesn't want to come around today. Maybe next week. He doesn't want to. He's like a behind the camera guy. He doesn't want. I used to be behind the camera guy myself too, until I realized people needed this advice, and so I had to force myself to come out and speak to you. So we got to move fast because we have a lot of things to cover. I'm going to talk very fast because there's so much we have to do. So here goes. What is the right legal structure for your business? Well, if it's just you, it's an unscalable business. You don't need any type of protection. Maybe you just want to do hair for a few people at home, like a hairstylist. People come to your house. You're not going to expand it. Like my hair, you see, I got my hair done on Thursday. It's pretty cool, right? I look good, right? I'm just messing with y'all. Anyway, I did get my hair done. And she's so talented, but she's a sole proprietor. She works in her office. She's amazing. She works in her office, in her home. I go to her house, and she, does my hair. The next person comes in, she does their hair. That's a sole proprietor, right? She gets cash or she gets, a check or whatever it is, and she's happily ever after. Then there's a partnership, right? When it's just you and you need somebody else who complements you, then you can form a partnership. It's unincorporated. You form a partnership, just you and a partner doing business together. For example, if you're a hairstylist, you're the one who does the hair. You may need a business partner who's the one who handles the finances, who's the one who does the scheduling, who's the one who buys the nice hair and all those things. So that's a partnership, and you don't necessarily need to incorporate. There's some reasons, however, why you should incorporate. And the different types of corporations you could set up are multiple. There's LLCs, limited liability companies. There's S corporations. There's C corporations. There's B corporations, the ones who, they give benefit to society. And there's also 501c3s, nonprofit corporations. We won't go into the types of corporations today. Another day we'll go into those. But for today, I want to kind of walk you through some of the reasons why you may or may not want to incorporate. Incorporation means setting up a separate business than you. It has a separate tax ID number, a separate name, a separate bank account. It's treated entirely separate from you. What are the reasons you would incorporate? Number one, limited liability. You cannot get sued for the expenses, the debts, or the problems of the business. You cannot get sued. Hallelujah. We live in a very litigious society. Everybody's trying to sue everybody all the time. You can get sued for whatever happens in the business, even if you're the one operating the business. That's called limited liability, because it was very, very important for our country, our laws, to make sure that a business owner could feel safe in operating a business, and that setting up a business wouldn't destroy him or her personally. So there's a demarcation between you professionally and you personally. Great professional image. Imagine if you wanted to buy a shoe and the shoe was called John Smith, your neighbor's name. What? But if it was called John Smith Incorporated, or it was called Zappos, a professional name, it gives a professional image to your customers, your suppliers, and your investors. It's easier to obtain financing when the bank or the financial institution knows that this business is separate from you. You're not going to be dipping your hand into the till to take money out, put money back in. That way, they don't like that. The business has to stand on its own. So setting up a corporation helps you do that. There's also possible tax advantages, right? If you incorporate a business, you have this thing called a pass-through, so that you take all your expenses and then the rest comes through to you directly. You don't have to pay double taxes unless you have a C corporation. Again, we'll delve deeper into corporations on a different topic, on a different, hopefully this same season, but in a different session. It's also very, very important to incorporate before you hire employees, because, you want to try to protect your assets. And sometimes, people sue. So if instead of being able to sue you personally, if they sue, they'll sue the corporation. And so sometimes it's easier to do that. Where should you incorporate? Look, for most small businesses, incorporate in your state, right? If you're in California, incorporate in California. If you're in Texas, incorporate in Texas. If you're in New York, incorporate in New York. It's easier. But for businesses which are planning to scale and get bigger, there's 3 locations that I like: Wyoming, Nevada, and Delaware. Most of my businesses are in Delaware, right? And the reason why is because it's very flexible. Right? You can incorporate multiple different types of businesses there. It's private. They don't have to. I have shareholders in many of my businesses who either provide expertise or financing or something else, some other value. In Delaware, I don't have to disclose the names of some of those people. They want to be private. They don't want their business out there, right? Mind your business. And so Delaware helps you do that. And then the court system in Delaware is very, very smart. It uses what you call a judge system, right? A judge instead of a jury. If you ever get sued as a business, sometimes the jury feels sorry for the person that's suing. It's like, oh, this business is taking advantage of. In Delaware, it's a judge, and a judge doesn't look at emotions. A judge looks at the facts and the contracts. So it's a lot more business friendly, and also it's easier to attract investors if you're in Delaware. There's some problems though with incorporating in Delaware. If you're a small business, like I said, 1-man, 2-man shop, Delaware might be too expensive for you. If you don't need all those benefits, privacy, flexibility, savvy court system, investors, then you don't need Delaware incorporated in your state. It could also be pretty expensive. I'm going to skip over Nevada and Wyoming just in the interest of time. I think we'll do another session on the best place to incorporate, but I can tell you one thing I like about Nevada, is that it has this thing called asset protection. So your business is protected. Now, I did tell you some time ago that limited liability protects you from the business, which means you can't be sued for the problems of the business or the debts of the business or the liabilities of the business. In Nevada, the business is protected from you. What that means is if you run into trouble and they sue you personally, God forbid you drink, a little bit, a glass of wine or two, you go, on the street, run to a fender bender and they find you guilty, somebody gets hurt, God forbid, and you now owe a lot of money personally, not the business. In Nevada, there's limitations on how they can take your business. In California, they can take your business for the most part. In many, many, many states, they could just take your business if you have personal liability. But in states like Nevada, states like Texas, states like Florida, you do have certain protections where your business is protected. So I kind of like that in Nevada. Now, so we've covered, let me summarize. I mean, we're covering a lot of good things. So let me go back. So when you want to start a business, you first have to refine your idea. You have to write a business plan. You have to assess your finances. You have to determine the business structure. And now on to number 5, you have to register your business with the government. And woohoo, IRS, yes. You got to pay taxes, my friend. There's 2 things you can't avoid: death and taxes. And that's where the IRS comes in. But don't worry, I'm going to have another session on minimizing taxes. You do have to pay taxes. You can't, there's very few things in business that can get you in jail, that can take you to jail. The IRS, not paying your taxes egregiously, and what you call tax evasion is one of those things. An IRS debt can follow you for many, 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 many years. You don't want IRS problems. So you got to pay your taxes, but I can show you ways of how to minimize those taxes, and I will in another session. But here's what it means to register your business. If you do decide you want to register with the government, you want to register your business, you got to get the articles of incorporation. You have to get the articles. Then you have to do a DBA. Sometimes the name of your business is not the name you want to use to sell your business. And so, for example, I have a company called Pacific Risk Management Group that does a lot of insurance business, right? But we have a DBA, right, for the business because that's how we do the business separately. We market the business separately from the legal name. So sometimes you need a DBA. You need an employer identification number, an EI number. What's an EI number? An EI number is like your social security number. It's how your business is identified with vendors, with the government, with lenders, and so on and so forth. Then you got to file your income taxes, right? So make sure. And then you may have to get certain licenses or permits, some federal or state licenses. We have to get multiple because I'm in the finance business. I'm in the wealth management business. So I have to get, all sorts of licenses. You may have to get, if you're doing hair, you may have to get a permit. If you're selling real estate, you may have to get a real estate license. There's certain things that you may have to get, right, that are necessary. So I'm going to keep going because I got to keep going fast. There's so much we have to cover. It's a very exciting topic for me because it's one of those ways where people can rise above where they are. I mean, setting up a business, and this is the things I'm giving you, some great tools to set up a business. Tina asked a question. How do you establish credit as a new LLC or C corporation? You know what? I can talk to you about that now. I was going to talk to you about that next week. There's this thing called Dun and Bradstreet, right? When you want to set up a business. So again, let me answer Tina's question. She said, how do you establish credit as a new LLC or corporation? Why is it important for your business to have credit? Well, just like, if you heard me on, I think it was number 2 or number 3, I talked about how important it is for you to have credit. It's equally important for your business to have credit. Why? Right now, if you want to borrow for your business, you have to use your own credit because your business doesn't have credit. But guess what? You can build your business credit just like you build your personal credit. And after enough months or years of that credit, that business building its credit, You don't have to use your own personal credit anymore. I don't think JP Morgan uses Jamie Dimon's credit anymore. I don't think Facebook uses Mark Zuckerberg's credit anymore. How did they build their own credit? Well, there's this service. You know how you have Experian, you have TransUnion? Well, you have this service for businesses called Dun & Bradstreet. It's called Dun & Bradstreet. It's D-U-N and Bradstreet. And essentially what it does is it keeps a tab. So go register with Dun & Bradstreet, give them your business name, your business license number, your business EI number. And then every time when you get a loan, make sure to get a loan for the business on your business credit, which is required. Also add the business as a signer, onto it. So every time you pay that loan back, you get a good hit and your business gets a good hit. Over a period of time, maybe a few years, the business now will have enough good credit that it can borrow on its own. So Tina, hopefully that helped. All right, so let's go on building your team. Oh, before I talk about building your team, now that we're talking about credit and protecting yourself, let's talk about insurance. We live in a very litigious society. So when you set up a business, the worst thing that can ever happen to you is you get sued by an unhappy customer, or somebody calls in your business and they fall and they sue you. You've heard about all those stories, right? How do you protect yourself from that, from employees, from all those employees that are, litigious, from customers that are litigious? Well, you got to protect yourself through insurance. Make sure to get lots of insurance, as much insurance as you can afford. Liability insurance, workers' compensation insurance, unemployment insurance, get insurance that protect you from theft, from property damage. You need to get insurance that will protect your company. So, number 7, build your team. How do you build the right team? How do you build a team? How do you hire the right employees? Look, I've had trial by fire. I've hired hundreds of people through my businesses and before, even when I was an employee of a large corporation. So I have some experience hiring employees, and I've made a lot of mistakes. Talk less of someone who may not have any experience hiring employees for themselves. So I can tell you from experience, and again, a lot of this came from experience, but some of it also came from this website that I like a lot, thebalancedcareers.com. It's called thebalancedcareers.com. They provide a lot of the information I'm actually giving out today in a very streamlined fashion. How do you build your team? Woohoo! The first thing you got to do, don't hire the person first until you define the job. What are you hiring a person for? It is really important. Your team can make or break your business. That's the most important decision any CEO ever, or any business owner, any founder ever does, is hiring the right team members. You have to make sure when you hire a person, you hire them for a job that's already existing. You don't just hire someone because, you like them or you think they're cool. No, you have to hire them for a very specific purpose. Plan your employee recruiting strategy. What's your strategy? Are you going to use Craigslist? Are you going to use Monster? Are you going to use Indeed? And then you're going to use, many people use LinkedIn. You got to plan that strategy. Make sure, or maybe you use all of them. Make sure you do that. It's very, very important. Use a checklist. Here's the 10 things I need, right, from this employee. Do they fit? Don't get emotional. Oh, because they look like you, or because you can relate to them. No, that's not why you're hiring. This is not for fun. This is business, right? Recruit the right candidates for that job. Don't recruit the candidates that you like. Review their credentials and applications very carefully. You got to do that. You got to make sure you check their. He said he graduated from college. Get the transcript, right? He passed a professional exam. Get the certificate. Make sure you validate the things they put on their application, because sometimes people want a job. They'll add stuff to their. You've probably done that yourself before. Padded your resume a little bit. Well, not good. Your resumes are a true representative of yourself, and your employer may verify like we do, verify that information, and then you don't look good if you lied on your resume. So make sure your resumes are correct if you're looking for a job. Ask the right questions during the job interview. It's very, very important. There's many, many different ways of interviewing, but always make sure you ask questions that are specific to the job. And then maybe let me give you 7 quick factors, right, to hiring. Just 7 real quick factors to hiring that I like. 1 is team feedback. If you have a team already and you're looking to hire somebody into that team, make sure every single member of that team interviews that person because your team knows the culture. They understand the work requirements. And when you hire somebody who doesn't fit, it could cause disruption. I have experience with that. I have a lot of experience with that. I can tell you that. Hiring the wrong people, or people who don't fit, or people who are too early, or people who are too late can really, really hurt you, your business. So be careful about that. Reference checks, number 2. Always check the reference of people. Ask them for 3 to 5 people who they've worked with before and call those people. How do you know? You don't know this person. The only person who knows them better than you do are ex-employers. Ask them for ex-employers. Ask them for college professors if they're from if they haven't had a job before, and check their references. Right? People change, but not that fast. So if that person was trouble on the last job, there's a good chance they're going to be trouble on this job. Culture fit. Culture is so important. That person has to fit your culture. I've made mistakes of hiring people who didn't fit our culture, and it was very, very painful experience. I had to let go of a lot of people recently from my business. Not necessarily because they were great. They were great people. It's just there was not a fit, culture-wise. Ability to do the job. Ability to do the job. This is one of the most important. That person has to be able to do the job that you hire them for. You may hire somebody who has all these experiences, mighty experience, great experience, and amazing experience, and all that stuff. Can that person do the job that you're hiring them for? Commitment to growth and leadership potential. That person has to be committed to grow. You can't hire someone who's going to stay, especially if you're a small business that's growing. That person stays in that position, they become a liability. You want somebody who's going to grow with the organization. Leadership potential. You want somebody who could take work off your plate. You're the leader. So somebody who has the ability to also be a leader is very, very important. And then strategic value. This is somebody who needs to think like you. You have to have people in there you can't be the only one out there thinking like a founder or like an owner. When your employees think like you, strategic value, whenever there's a purchase they have to make, they don't think about it like an expense. They think about it, what's the value in the future? Strategic value is very, very important. So those are the 7 things. I know I give them really fast. 7 things in hiring to consider. Team feedback, reference checks, culture fit, ability to do the job, commitment to growth, leadership potential, and strategic value. Okay, we're almost at the end. I'm going to have to skip through over here because, again, I told you this topic is great. We have a lot more to cover. So the next step is choosing your partners and vendors carefully. These partners and vendors, they will have access to sensitive information about your business. And their ability to perform their job will affect your ability to do business. So choose carefully. You need people with, you need to set up HR systems, right? Somebody if you have employees, you got to have an HR system, right? Like ADP, like Paycom. You got to have phone systems, right? Whether it's cell phone or landline or internet phone, you got to have a phone system. AT&T and Vonage, like for example. You got to have a payment system. You're going to be collecting money, right? You're going to be paying people money. How? Some people use Stripe. Some people use JP Morgan. You got to have payroll. You got to pay expenses, right? Payroll expenses. Who are you going to use? ADP, Paycom. You could integrate that with your HR system. Internet. You need internet. Your employees need internet. You need cable. Do you want to make it fiber optic? You got to make those decisions on who you're going to have to use those. Who are you going to farm that responsibility out to? Software. What kind of software do you need for your business? Is Microsoft Office? What else? Security, antivirus. You hear about hacking and all these people going into people's systems and robbing them. How do you protect yourself? These are things that you need to do. You need to pick vendors and partners. Setting up a business is not easy, but it's very, very rewarding if you do it the right way. That's what I'm teaching you. Then you have to brand yourself. You have to brand yourself. How are you going to sell? You got to have a company website. Social media. Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook. There's like a gazillion different social media websites. You gotta have social media. That's how people buy now. Old people, young people, medium people. My mom is going to be 82 in about 12 days. May 20th, he's going to be 82. My mom's on social media. If my mom's on social media and she's active, everybody in America, 316 million people are on social media. In 2019, there were over $600 billion in purchases on social media. So if you're not on social media, your business is not on social media, you got to be on social media, right? You have to have a client relationship management system. When the customers come, you have to be able to track those customers and relate to those customers through a system like Salesforce or HubSpot. You have to have logos, merchandise, your shirts like logoed. I have a ton of shirts. I'm going to start wearing my shirts soon, my Sushi and TPG shirts. Are you going to run ads? How are you going to get customers to get to know who you are? TV, radio, print, social media? Ask your customers to opt into your marketing communication. You can't just send people text messages, right? There's laws against doing that. Finally, you want to continuously grow your business. Let me tell you what I just told you, right? I just told you the different steps to setting up a business, the ABCs. Refine your idea, write a business plan, assess your finances, determine the legal business structure, right? Register with the government and the IRS, purchase an insurance policy or multiple insurance policies, build your team, choose your vendors and your partners carefully, brand yourself and advertise. Finally, the last step, continuously grow your business. You as a business owner have one job, continuously growing your business. Add strategic partners, new software systems, partner with charities, nonprofit organizations, give stuff out for free. My niece, Danielle, she does, she creates clothes. She is a designer and she makes clothes, right? Like really, really nice for big and tall, like a lot of NBA players and a lot of like tall people, like 7-footers. She's like 6'4" too. And she gives away a lot of free stuff, right? And it always comes back because those people love what she has, what she gives them, and they buy more. So sometimes you have to do that in order to grow your business. Be willing to adapt. Sometimes what you decided, was the right business model may not be the right business, but you got to change. Always be learning new trends, new technologies, legal issues. There's a lot of different things that you want to be concerned about. So, Denise, how are you? You're learning a lot. Thank you for your support. Now, we're at 3 o'clock. We've been here for an hour, but there's just so much. I haven't even got to why small businesses fail. So, you know what? I'm going to spend 3 minutes on that really quickly because I don't want to have to do this again next week. Next week, I want to talk about something else, which is financing your business. So let me run through real quick reason why small businesses fail, right? There's a lot of different reasons, but I'm going to run through them real quickly and how you can avoid them. A big reason why small businesses fail is because they start the business for the wrong reasons. There's no passion. They're unhappy with their current job, so they decide I want to start a business. That's the wrong reason. You have to have a passion for it. You have to understand the business. You have to have the skill. You have to be better at it than most people. You have to be willing to do the work. You have to have the financing. So many people fail in business because they started for the wrong reasons. Another reason why businesses fail is because the market is too small or there's no market. You want to sell things and there's no market? How are you going to make money? Poor business management. Many people lack basic skills on managing a business, finance, purchasing, selling, production, hiring, managing employees, legal, inventory, HR. There's a lot of things that you gotta do. You don't just jump in and start a business. That's why 70% of businesses fail, because people don't have the skill and they're not willing to go learn, or they don't know how to learn. They don't know where to go to learn. Insufficient capital. This is probably the most important reason why businesses fail. They don't have enough money. You can't run out of business. The wrong location. Imagine setting up a business and it's the wrong place, right? You got to have your business. That's why research is important. You have to have it in a place that's close to your consumers. If it's an online business, you have to go where they are. You can't just open up a website and expect people to come. When you start a business, you have to go where the customers are. And so what else? Overexpansion. Sometimes when business is good, you grow too fast. You don't want to grow too fast because you run out of cash and then your customer service starts to suffer. People start to get unhappy. Then they stop ordering. Your business starts to slide. You don't want to overexpand. Look what happened to Robinhood, right? During the pandemic, it was a victim of its own success. It grew so fast, it overexpanded, and then it ran into some snafus that almost crashed the company. God willing, the company's back up and it's hopefully going to do an IPO. But but it had to raise billions quickly because of this overexpansion. And finally, No social media or website. I see so many businesses who don't have social media. Like I said, over 300 million people on social media, over $600 billion in sales as of 2019. You got to be on that. Now, I'm going to run through real quickly. Again, I'm speeding through because we're out of time. And I really want to give you this information because I know many of you out there are going to be starting a business. So let me tell you how the startup mistakes to avoid. I'm going to run through them real quick. First, don't be afraid to fail. Irrespective. If you fail, it's a good thing. Why? Because now you know what doesn't work. Now go do what works. Do not be afraid to fail. Make a business plan. It's very, very important. Get organized. Get organized. Put your ducks in order. Don't do this in a disorganized fashion. So this could be the most lucrative thing you ever did, but make sure it's organized. Understand your market and target audience. Understand your market. It's really important. Who are you selling to? Why are you selling to them? How do they buy? Where do they buy from? What do they buy? Why should they buy from you? File for the proper legal structure and business registration. You don't want to get in trouble. You don't want to be doing business and you don't have a license. Make sure to have license. Make sure your business is licensed. Don't do everything yourself. I know you were trying to save money, but look, there's this thing called division of labor for a reason. No matter, even if you're good at everything, don't do everything. Farm out some of the responsibility. You don't have to have full-time employees. Farm it out to part-time contractors, or farm out your HR to like ADP or Paycom. Don't partner with the wrong investors. They can break your business. Don't avoid contracts. I made that mistake recently. Do not avoid contracts. Sign contracts. Make sure that's what's going to protect you and your business. Don't hire too soon. Now, while you don't want to do everything yourself, you also don't want to go hire full-time employees because that drains your capital too soon. Only hire when you've reached a place where you need to hire. Don't underestimate capital requirements. Do not underestimate capital requirements. You're going to need cash. Many people tend to underestimate, they run out of money and they go out of business. Overshoot if need be. Don't waste money. Don't spend too much money on things you shouldn't be spending money on. I was a perpetrator of this. I can tell you. Don't give yourself the wrong salary, right? Don't give yourself a salary that's too high or too little. Give yourself just enough salary to pay the bills. Don't undervalue your product or service. Your product is valuable. People want to buy your product. Don't undersell. If you should be selling it for $15, don't sell it for $10. Why? Because you're underselling your service. You're undervaluing your service. Don't launch too quickly. I've made this mistake multiple times. When you launch, make sure you're ready to launch. Don't launch too quickly. Don't expand too quickly. You can kill yourself by overexpanding. Implement a proper bookkeeping process. Create a marketing plan. Don't hire the wrong people. Don't overpromise or underdeliver. As a matter of fact, I like to underpromise and overdeliver. Finally, do not underestimate the demands of a business. A business is going to eat up your time. Be ready. If you're married, make sure your spouse is ready. Make sure your kids are ready, because you're not going to be spending a huge amount of time with them. But the benefit of it could be highly lucrative. You could make a lot of money. You could be a lot happier, but it's going to take a lot of work. Whew, we've covered a lot. So let me tell you what we're going to do next week. Next week is the finale of the show. The trifecta. The first, last week, we learned, 2 weeks ago, well, actually last week, we learned about the different types of small businesses to set up. Some you could set up at home, some you could set up outside, but in a sense, how to set up a small business. Today, we talked about the ABCs of small businesses. Next week, we're going to talk about how to finance your business. What is the best way to finance your business? How should you finance your business? Where should the money come from? Should you use savings? Should you go to a bank? Should you use the SBA? Should you get a grant? Should you go to investors? Should you do crowdfunding? There's a lot of different ways. What's the best way to fund your business? For a small business, a scalable business, what is the best way to fund your business? We'll talk about it next week. Don't forget, 2 p.m. Pacific time. It's Pacific time, not Eastern time. 2 p.m. Pacific time on Facebook Live and YouTube Live. My friends on Instagram, I love you very much, but please go to YouTube. Now, let's see what, hi, Henry, thank you so much. Chi-Chi Chichi said it's a really great show, good information. God bless you. Thank you, Chichi. God bless you too. I do this because it's a calling. Helping people is a calling. Let's see. Wow, I have so many comments over here. But thank you so much, my friends, for the great comments, for the great, for paying attention. This is one of our longest shows, almost an hour and 10 minutes. But God bless you. I wish you the best of luck, and I'll see you next week.